If everything falls apart and your goal is to make it through those first 90 days, there are 12 essential food categories you absolutely need to have on hand. Let me lay this out clearly from the start. Simply stockpiling food isn't a guarantee that you'll make it. That's where many people get it wrong. You might gather a large supply, yet still miss the items that matter most. Some foods will fill you up in the moment, but they won't sustain you over the long haul. And pay close attention to item number 7, because it's the one people most often ignore. Yet it can make the biggest difference between making it through or running out of steam halfway. Number 12 is rice, the backbone of basic survival. Picture this. Tomorrow, every supermarket shelf is wiped clean, and when you open your kitchen, all that's left is a single bag of rice. The real question isn't what you'll eat, but how long that supply can keep you going. In a true emergency, flavor doesn't matter. What matters is having something that prevents your body from slowly shutting down, and that's exactly what rice does. It's not exciting, but it's dependable, delivering steady energy day after day. Not a quick spike, just enough fuel to keep your system running for weeks on end. Now, here's something most people rarely think about. To get through 90 days, one adult needs roughly 45 to 60 kilograms of rice, and that's just the baseline for maintaining energy. It doesn't account for sharing with others or those days when your body demands more. Interestingly, while many households already have rice, very few store it in a way that preserves it long term. When handled properly, white rice can remain usable for anywhere between 5 and 30 years. But leave it sitting in its original packaging, and within months, moisture, insects, and pests can ruin it completely. That's the point where preparation either pays off or fails. If you want rice to truly support your survival, you have to store it correctly, sealed tight, kept dry, and split into smaller portions. Use airtight containers, plastic bottles, or vacuum-sealed bags to protect it. Adding oxygen absorbers or even bay leaves can help keep pests away. And here's a rule you shouldn't ignore. Never store all your rice in one spot. Break it up into separate portions so that if one batch is compromised, the rest is still safe. That said, rice isn't a complete solution on its own. It needs water to cook and fuel to prepare, and relying on it exclusively for weeks will leave your body lacking protein and fats. It can keep you alive, but it won't keep you at full strength by itself. Imagine the worst-case scenario. You have rice, but no electricity, no gas, and barely any clean water. Suddenly, the very thing meant to sustain you becomes unusable. That's why how you use rice matters just as much as having it. When resources are still available, cook it normally. But as supplies begin to run thin, switch to making a thinner porridge. That simple change can stretch your food supply 2 or even 3 times longer. This isn't just about saving, it's a deliberate survival tactic. In the end, keep this in mind. Rice won't make life comfortable, but without it, your chances of lasting are slim. So if the power went out for a full month, would your home have enough rice and a reliable way to prepare it? Number 11 is beans. There's a point where your body starts to weaken without you even noticing it. You're still eating every day, but something isn't right. The real danger is how subtle it is. It's not about having no food, it's about missing protein, the key nutrient that keeps your strength intact over time. At first, everything feels normal. You're eating, moving around, getting through the day. But gradually, things begin to shift. Fatigue sets in more quickly, your strength drops, and your endurance isn't what it used to be. It's not a sudden breakdown, it's a slow, almost invisible decline. That's exactly where beans come in. Beans aren't quick to prepare, they're not especially convenient, and they're far from exciting. But they are one of the most reliable long-term protein sources you can store, lasting anywhere from 10 to 25 years if handled properly. Think of them as a shelf-stable substitute for meat that doesn't require refrigeration. Here's the part most people miss. Beans won't suddenly make you feel stronger. Instead, they prevent your body from getting weaker in the first place. For a 90-day period, a single person would need roughly 8 to 15 kilograms. It doesn't sound like much, but their real value is in slowing down physical decline when resources start to run low. Of course, beans have their downsides. They take time and fuel to cook, and in an emergency, those aren't always guaranteed. That means preparation becomes critical. Whether you can actually use them depends on how you handle them. Lentils are often a smarter choice since they cook faster and require less fuel. Even soaking beans ahead of time can cut cooking time significantly, which becomes a major advantage when resources are limited. Storage is another area where small mistakes can cost you everything. A bit of moisture or improper sealing can quietly destroy your entire supply before you even realize it. That's why they need to be kept dry, tightly sealed, and split into smaller batches for safety. There's also one key detail to remember. Beans alone aren't enough. When you combine them with rice, they form a nearly complete nutritional profile, enough to sustain the body for an extended period. A common mistake is relying only on carbohydrates. You may still feel full, but over time your body weakens, and eventually you won't have the strength to keep going. So think about it. If your home is stocked with rice but lacks a protein source like beans, how long can your body really hold out? Number 10 is canned food, the kind of meal that can keep you going when everything else fails. Most people assume they'll always be able to cook, right up until the day that suddenly isn't true. The power goes out, the gas stops, there's no hot water, and you open the fridge only to see everything inside slowly spoiling. In that moment, even a single can of food can be the difference between eating and going hungry. Canned food isn't exactly exciting, but in a survival situation, it's one of the most practical options you can have. It requires no effort, no cooking, no prep work, and no reliance on electricity or fuel. You just open it and eat right away. That simplicity is what separates merely having food from actually being able to survive. Most canned goods last anywhere from 2 to 5 years, sometimes even longer if they're stored the right way. That makes them ideal for long-term planning without needing constant replacement. But there's something many people don't think about. Canned food isn't just nourishment, it can also provide hydration. Items like soups, canned fish, or beans come with liquid inside. And in a situation where clean water is scarce, that extra moisture can really matter. Using it couldn't be easier. You can eat it straight from the can, or warm it up if you still have the means. There's no complicated process, no added risk, and no dependence on outside resources. Still, it's not something you can stash away and ignore. There are a few rules you need to follow. Keep cans in a cool, dry place, away from heat and direct sunlight. Rotate your supply so older cans get used first, and always check them before opening. If you notice swelling, deep dents, rust, or any unusual smell, throw it out immediately. It's not worth the risk because food poisoning in a crisis can be extremely dangerous. A common mistake is stockpiling cans and never touching them. By the time they're actually needed, they're already expired. Real preparedness isn't about storing food and forgetting it. It's about maintaining a supply, using it regularly, and always keeping it ready. If you want to be more strategic, focus on options that include liquid, like soups or canned fish. They not only provide energy but also help conserve your drinking water. In normal times, canned food might feel like a backup plan. But when conditions get tough, it can quickly become the one thing that gets you through the hardest days. Number 9 is potato flakes. There comes a stage where the issue isn't whether you have food, it's whether you have the strength to prepare it. Your body feels drained, your thinking slows, and even standing at the stove for a short time starts to feel overwhelming. That's when real problems begin. It's not that food is missing, it's that you no longer have the energy to use what's already there. This is exactly where potato flakes prove their value. They don't require cooking skills or complicated steps. Just add hot water, give it a quick stir, and it's ready to eat. Under normal circumstances, that might seem trivial, but when you're completely worn out, that simplicity can determine whether you keep going or give up. They aren't the most nutrient-dense option, but potato flakes deliver quick energy with almost no effort. And in a situation where your resources are limited, ease and speed matter more than perfection. One key detail people often miss is how little fuel they require. There's no long cooking time or intense heat needed, just enough to warm some water. When supplies start to dwindle, that shifts from convenience to a real survival advantage. That said, potato flakes are sensitive to their surroundings. A small amount of moisture or poor sealing can quickly ruin them. When that happens, you're not just losing food, you're losing a critical fallback option. The best way to handle this is to portion them out into smaller amounts, open only what you need, and keep the rest sealed tightly. A common mistake is opening a large package and using it little by little over time. In reality, that exposes it to air and humidity, causing it to degrade day after day. So think about this. If you reach a point where you're too exhausted to cook, do you have something you can prepare instantly? Potato flakes won't improve your quality of life, but they can keep you from collapsing when your energy is gone. And in those moments, that's exactly what matters most. Number 8 is egg powder, something that helps preserve your strength from the inside out. There's an important detail many people miss. You can eat enough food every day and still grow weaker over time. It's not always about a lack of food, but a lack of the nutrients your body needs to repair itself. You'll often see this with older adults. They eat regularly, yet feel more fatigued, lose strength, and take longer to recover from illness. The problem isn't how much they're eating, it's what they're eating, especially when protein is missing. When the body is under ongoing stress, getting poor rest, or dealing with unbalanced nutrition, the decline begins quietly. Muscle mass starts to shrink, endurance fades, and even small wounds take longer to heal. If your diet leans heavily on carbohydrates without enough protein, you may stay alive, but your overall condition will slowly deteriorate, and you might not even notice it at first. That's where egg powder becomes valuable. It's not designed to fill you up quickly. Instead, it provides the building blocks your body needs to maintain itself and recover. The protein it contains supports tissue repair, helps preserve muscle, and slows down physical decline over time. For older individuals or anyone already feeling weak, this is something that should be prioritized. One of its biggest advantages is how long it can be stored. When kept sealed and in proper conditions, egg powder can last anywhere from 5 to 10 years. That makes it a reliable option for long-term planning without depending on fresh ingredients. It's also very versatile. Mix it with water in the right proportions, and you can use it much like fresh eggs. Fry it, steam it, or blend it into meals like porridge, rice, or noodles. It's simple to use, yet still delivers the nutrients your body needs to stay strong. That said, egg powder is sensitive to its environment. Exposure to air and moisture can quickly reduce its quality and even make it unusable. To avoid that, it should always be stored in a dry place, sealed tightly, and not opened more often than necessary. Dividing it into smaller portions is a practical way to keep the rest from spoiling. A frequent mistake is focusing only on foods that make you feel full, while overlooking protein entirely. The effects don't show up right away, but over time they become clear: loss of muscle, quicker fatigue, poorer balance, and slower recovery after illness. It's a gradual decline, but one that can seriously impact your ability to function day to day. Egg powder isn't about improving flavor or comfort. It's a foundational food that helps your body hold onto its strength, recover when needed, and resist breaking down as conditions get tougher. In long-term situations, that can be the deciding factor in whether you're able to keep going. Number 7 is salt. Something that seems minor, yet can decide how long you're able to keep going. You might manage a few days without food and still survive, but once your body loses its electrolyte balance, things can go downhill much faster than expected. The real issue isn't just how much food you have, it's whether your body can still function the way it should. When you sweat a lot, lose fluids, or don't eat properly, your internal balance starts to slip. You may feel weak, lightheaded, and drained, while your muscles lose strength and your energy drops quickly. This isn't simply hunger, it's your body struggling to stay stable. And the most dangerous part is that you often don't realize what's happening until it's already serious. Salt isn't just there to add flavor. It plays a critical role in keeping your body balanced. It helps regulate fluid levels, supports nerve function, and allows your muscles to work properly. When you have enough, you barely notice it. But when it's missing, the effects show up almost immediately. This isn't a slow deficiency. It's something that can cause a rapid decline. Its importance goes beyond your body as well. In situations where there's no electricity or refrigeration and food begins to spoil, salt becomes a way to preserve what you have. Curing and extending shelf life isn't a new idea. It's a method people have relied on for generations to keep food usable. Another detail many people ignore is how long salt can last. As long as it's kept dry and sealed, it doesn't really expire, making it one of the most stable items you can store. In certain situations, it can even become valuable for trade. Its uses go far beyond seasoning. You can mix it into water to create a basic electrolyte solution, or use it to preserve food when no other options are available. If you're preparing carefully, it's a good idea to keep both regular salt and iodized salt on hand to maintain proper mineral intake over time. The common mistake is assuming salt will always be easy to find, until suddenly it isn't. So take a moment to think about it. If you couldn't buy more starting tomorrow, would the salt you currently have last you a week or even a month? It won't fill you up, but it will keep your body from failing. And in a long-term situation, that's what ultimately determines how long you can endure. Number 6 is fat, the kind of fuel that keeps your body from giving out during long periods of food shortage or cold conditions. When it comes to lasting longer, it's not vegetables or carbohydrates that make the biggest difference. It's fat. That might go against what you usually hear, but your body isn't concerned with clean eating. It only cares about having enough energy to keep going. So here's something to think about. How many fat sources do you actually have at home right now that you could use immediately if needed? Picture a realistic situation. It's cold, your body starts shivering, and even after eating rice, you still feel hungry and drained. The issue isn't that you didn't eat, it's that your body is missing a dense energy source to maintain heat. In that moment, even a small amount of fat can change things noticeably. You start to feel warmer, your energy stabilizes, and the exhaustion begins to ease. That's not just theory, it's how your body works. Fat is the most concentrated form of energy you can store. When conditions are harsh or your energy demands are high, it acts like a reserve fuel tank. Without it, your body is forced to break down muscle for energy, which leads to faster weakness, more fatigue, and slower recovery. In cold environments, a lack of fat also makes it harder to retain body heat, increasing the risk of hypothermia, a danger many people underestimate. Options like ghee or coconut oil are especially useful because they can last anywhere from 1 to 5 years without refrigeration if stored properly. You don't need large quantities. Just a small daily amount can significantly improve your energy levels and endurance. They're also easy to use. You can cook with them, mix them into simple meals like rice or porridge to boost calories, or even take a small amount directly when you need quick energy. When paired with carbohydrates, fat helps release energy more gradually, preventing the sudden crash that can happen after eating. However, fats are sensitive to their environment. Exposure to light, heat, or air can cause them to spoil, lose quality, or even become unsafe. That's why they should be stored in a cool, dark place and sealed tightly after each use. If you notice an unusual smell or a change in taste, it's a clear sign they've gone bad and shouldn't be consumed. A common mistake is focusing only on foods like rice, noodles, or other dry staples while overlooking fat entirely. You might have enough food, but you're missing the energy source your body truly depends on. When conditions get tougher, that gap becomes obvious very quickly. So consider this. If you had to endure several days of cold or stay active for long periods without enough fat, would your body have the energy to keep going? You don't need it in large amounts, but it plays a critical role in sustaining your strength. Without it, the problem isn't a lack of food. It's a lack of usable energy to keep your body functioning. Number 5 is powdered milk, the kind of food that helps stop your body from gradually wearing down. You can eat until you feel full every single day, yet still grow weaker over time. That's not always because food is missing, but because your body isn't getting the nutrients it needs for long-term support. So here's something worth asking yourself. How many of the foods you have actually provide real nutrition, and how many just satisfy hunger for the moment? At the beginning, everything feels fine. You're eating rice or noodles and your energy seems stable. But after a week or two, subtle changes start to show. You feel more tired than usual, your recovery slows, and older adults may notice increased weakness. Joints begin to ache, immunity drops, and overall resilience fades. This isn't about not having enough food, it's about lacking balance in what you're eating. That's where powdered milk becomes valuable. Unlike foods that only deliver calories, it provides calcium, protein, and a range of micronutrients your body needs to function over time. It supports bone strength, helps maintain muscle, and most importantly, slows down the physical decline that can happen during extended periods of hardship. For children and older adults especially, this isn't just helpful, it's essential for maintaining strength. Another benefit is how long it can last. When stored properly, sealed and kept away from moisture, powdered milk can remain usable for anywhere between 2 and 10 years. That makes it a reliable option for long-term planning without needing constant replenishment. It's also simple to use. You can mix it with water for drinking or add it to meals like porridge to boost nutritional value without drastically changing your routine. However, it does require careful storage. Even a small amount of moisture or exposure to air can quickly reduce its quality, sometimes without obvious signs. That's why it should always be tightly sealed, stored in a dry place, and opened as infrequently as possible. Dividing it into smaller portions is a practical way to protect the rest while using it gradually. A common mistake is focusing only on foods that make you feel full, while overlooking what your body truly needs. You might not notice the issue right away, but after a few weeks the effects become clear, especially for older adults. At that stage, regaining strength becomes much more difficult. So think about it. If you had to rely on your supplies for several weeks or longer, would you actually be nourishing your body or just filling your stomach? Powdered milk isn't about getting through today. It's about preventing your body from breaking down over time. And in long-term situations, that's what truly makes the difference. Number 4 is nutritional yeast. There's a point where survival isn't just about what you eat. It's about how clearly you can think. You don't always fail in difficult situations because you're out of food, but because your decision-making starts to slip without you noticing. The scary part is how subtle it is. You're still functioning, still doing things, but your mind isn't as sharp as it used to be. So it's worth asking yourself, if something unexpected happened and you had only a few seconds to react, would your thinking still be quick and accurate? Picture a small moment like that. You know what needs to be done, but your brain takes just a little longer to catch up. In normal life, that delay is minor. But under stress, even a small hesitation can lead to much bigger problems than you expect. This doesn't only come from pressure. When your diet stays the same for too long and lacks key nutrients, especially B vitamins, your nervous system can start to operate less efficiently. You may lose focus more easily, react slower, and handle situations less precisely. The important thing is that this decline usually doesn't feel obvious at first. It happens quietly in the background. That's where nutritional yeast comes in. It isn't about giving you instant energy, but about supporting your nervous system so it stays stable. The B vitamins it contains help maintain alertness, improve focus, and support reaction speed, things that matter a lot when you're dealing with ongoing challenges. It's also very simple to use. You can sprinkle it directly onto food or mix it into meals you already eat without really changing the flavor. It typically lasts around 2 to 5 years when kept sealed and protected from moisture, which makes it easy to store for long periods. A common mistake is focusing only on visible essentials like food and water, while ignoring less obvious factors like mental clarity and how your brain processes information. You might still be well-fed, but if your thinking becomes foggy, your decisions become riskier without you realizing it. So ask yourself, you may have prepared for physical survival, but have you done anything to support your mental sharpness? Nutritional yeast won't make you feel stronger right away, but it helps prevent that slow mental decline that can build up over time. And in long-term situations, staying mentally clear is what helps you avoid mistakes and stay on the right track. Number 3 is dried seaweed. When your body begins to slow down without you really noticing, iodine deficiency is one of those issues that doesn't hit all at once. It doesn't cause an immediate breakdown in a day or two, but over time it quietly affects the thyroid, the system responsible for regulating how fast your body runs. When iodine levels are too low, your metabolism starts to slow. You feel more tired, you struggle to stay warm, your reactions become slower, and overall everything feels heavier and less responsive. It's a subtle decline, but it impacts the entire body system. In simple, repetitive diets, things like rice, noodles, or other dry staples, iodine is often missing almost entirely. You may still feel full, but your body isn't getting the minerals it needs to function properly. That's why dried seaweed is such a useful but often overlooked addition. It isn't meant to be a main source of food, but it does provide iodine along with other essential minerals that help keep internal systems balanced. Even a small daily amount can support thyroid function and help the body maintain a steady rhythm instead of gradually slowing down over time. One of its biggest advantages is how well it stores. When kept dry and sealed properly, it can last anywhere from 2 to 10 years. It's also extremely light, doesn't take up much space, and can easily be added to a variety of meals. You can eat it as it is, or soak it, and mix it into simple dishes like porridge or noodles without any real preparation. The problem is that people often overlook it because its effects aren't immediate. It doesn't make you feel full or give you a quick boost, so it tends to get ignored. But over time, the body begins to show the effects, feeling colder, more sluggish, and lower in energy without a clear reason. So it's worth asking, if you stick to a repetitive diet for weeks at a time, are you missing the trace minerals your body quietly depends on? Dried seaweed doesn't create a sudden change, but it does help prevent the slow, unnoticed decline in how your body functions. And in long-term situations, that steady internal speed can determine whether you stay capable or gradually fall behind. Number 2 is chia seeds. This one isn't really about drinking more water. It's about how long your body can actually hold on to it. You might be drinking plenty, but that doesn't necessarily mean your body is keeping it. When water becomes limited, the real challenge isn't intake, it's retention. So the real question is, have you ever considered how to make the water you drink last longer inside your body? Think about a simple situation. You drink water and feel relief for a moment. But not long after, your mouth is dry again. You feel drained and low on energy. The issue isn't that you didn't drink enough. It's that your body isn't holding onto it effectively. The water moves through your system too quickly, and you end up losing hydration without even realizing it. Over time, that creates a hidden problem. Not a lack of water, but poor retention of it. When this keeps happening, the effects become obvious. You lose strength faster, feel lightheaded more easily, your concentration drops, and your overall performance declines. In hot environments or situations where water is scarce, this can deplete you much faster than expected. The tricky part is that you may still think you're properly hydrated, even when your body is slowly drying out. Chia seeds work differently from most foods. When they're soaked in water, they form a gel-like layer that slows down how quickly liquid moves through your digestive system. This helps your body retain water for longer instead of flushing it out too quickly. As a result, hydration becomes more stable and less erratic. In situations where resources are limited, that difference becomes important. It directly affects how long you can maintain energy and function properly. That same gel effect also helps digestion run more smoothly and creates a longer-lasting feeling of fullness, which can reduce how often you feel the need to eat. Not because they provide large amounts of energy, but because they help your body use what it already has more efficiently. How you use them is simple, but it matters that it's done correctly. Chia seeds should always be soaked in water before eating. Once prepared, they can be consumed directly or mixed into other foods. Eating them dry is a mistake. They can absorb water inside your body instead, which may worsen dehydration and cause digestive discomfort. When stored properly in a sealed, dry environment, chia seeds can last around 2 to 5 years. They're lightweight, compact, and easy to carry, making them a practical option for long-term storage. A common mistake is focusing only on storing water itself, while ignoring how the body actually retains and uses it. You might have enough water available, but if your body can't hold on to it, you'll still end up dehydrated. So ask yourself, are you actually hydrating your body, or just passing water through it? Chia seeds don't create water, but they help prevent you from wasting what you already have. And in difficult conditions, survival depends less on how much water you carry, and more on how much your body can keep. Number 1 is gelatin. There comes a point where your body doesn't recover the way it used to. Healing slows down, fatigue starts building up, and everything feels like it accumulates over time. You don't suddenly break down, but day by day, you move closer to your limit without really noticing it. That's where gelatin becomes useful. It isn't a quick energy source and doesn't give you an immediate boost. Instead, it works quietly in the background, supporting parts of the body you don't usually think about, like joints, connective tissues, and the recovery process after physical strain. It helps repair minor wear and tear early, before they turn into bigger issues, allowing you to stay mobile instead of gradually declining. In long-term situations, this difference becomes very noticeable. Some people are still able to keep going, while others are forced to stop. Not because they ran out of food, but because their bodies can no longer handle the accumulated stress. Gelatin can typically last around 5 to 10 years when it's stored properly in a sealed, dry environment, which makes it suitable for long-term preparation. It's also easy to use. You can dissolve it in hot water, add it to soups, or mix it into regular meals without needing to change your eating habits much. A common mistake is focusing only on eating enough to survive the day while ignoring the body's need for ongoing repair and maintenance. The effects of that neglect don't show up immediately, but after several days or weeks, the decline becomes noticeable. So it's worth asking yourself, are you only preparing to get through today, or are you making sure you still have strength for what comes next? Gelatin doesn't make you stronger instantly, but it helps prevent that slow breakdown over time. And in extended situations, what ends up stopping you isn't just a lack of food. It's a body that can no longer continue. You've now gone through 12 types of powdered foods. Each one may seem simple on its own, but they all serve different purposes. They're not just about filling you up. They're about keeping your body functioning properly over time, covering energy, hydration, recovery, mental clarity, and endurance. Some help you survive the first day. Some keep you steady after a few days. Some support your focus over longer periods, and others quietly help prevent your body from wearing down over weeks. Real preparation isn't about how much you store. It's about understanding what your body actually needs and having the right things ready at the right time. So ask yourself, if things last longer than expected, have you prepared enough not just to survive, but to endure? And in the next part, I'll go over something even more practical: how to combine all 12 of these foods into simple, usable meals that can actually sustain you over the long term.